There are some ingredients that everybody should know how to use in the kitchen. Today we've got one that I think is one of the most versatile proteins that you can buy. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dishes and Fishes, where I show you how to cook and set hooks. Today we've got what I think is one of the most versatile ingredients in the kitchen, and that is salmon. So today I want to show you 5 of my favorite ways to use salmon. So let's get into it. So we're going to start by breaking down this whole salmon, and aside from the various health benefits from salmon, it's really affordable and delicious for what you get. So I got this salmon for $6.99 a pound, and you can see how that compares with these other seafoods like shrimp and whatnot. This is a sad day when catfish fillets cost $10 a pound. I buy the salmon whole because it's way cheaper, and then I fillet it and freeze it myself. But the price of food is pretty ridiculous. You can see this ribeye steak for $17.99, these big ribeyes for $18.29 a pound. This London broil costs the same as the salmon, $6.99. And this New York strip steak, quote, manager's special, is $17.99 a pound. That's sad. So let's break down this salmon that I got for $6.99 a pound. I'm going to start by removing the dorsal fin off of the back and these little fins on the sides. Just be careful not to hack away at too much meat. And then I'm going to fillet this fish like I do every other fish on this channel. I have a few other videos doing this, but cut right behind the gill opening till the knife hits the spine. Then follow the spine the whole way down to the tail. And once you get to the tail, just get that little piece of tail meat that I like to call the tail nugget. And again, I have a few other videos on this on my channel. Check them out. After that, you have a nice outline created. You're going to simply just run the knife along the cuts that you made, along the rib bones, and glide the knife back and forth till it releases the fillet. There is nothing like a nice, beautiful, long salmon fillet. So I'm going to go ahead and fillet the other side the same exact way, leaving me with 2 very large salmon fillets. If you did it properly, you'll have this little white tissue bony section in the front of the fillet. All you're going to do is run your knife right along where it starts and try to waste minimal meat here. So I'm just going to run it along front to back, run it along front to back, and just keep repeating until I'm able to remove that entirely. And again, that's all tissue and bone and just not that good. Next, we've got a section of pin bones that run on the top of the salmon fillet. So I like to use a hemostat to remove them. You can use pliers, you can use fish bone pliers if you're fancy. This works great for me. So I'm just going to take my time and pull them with the grain, if you will, so as to not snap any off inside the fish. And just make sure that I remove them all so my guests don't accidentally bite them. Now, you don't have to skin salmon, but the best tool to skin salmon is a 10-inch chef's knife. Some people like to use carving knives, but you definitely want a long, wide blade in order to skin most fish. So to skin this fish, I'm going to start by just cutting a little notch at the tail, trying not to waste much meat here. And that notch is going to allow me to slide my knife under the meat so it is on top of the skin. Then I'm going to use that as a handle, and I'm going to grab the skin and wiggle it. So you can see I'm not even really moving the knife. I'm just moving the skin back and forth and holding the knife at a downward angle. And the skin should come right off. So wiggle the knife until the skin comes off, and if you did it correctly, you should have this little film on the back of the fish. That just shows that there is minimal waste there. Nice work, people. Now I'm going to portion this fish out into my desired sections. You want to make these like 4, 6, 8 ounce fillets for your future dinners, and these freeze really well too, so don't be afraid to freeze them. I'm going to do some of these without skin and some of these with skin. My first dish that I want to show you is a crispy rice salmon dish. I'm doing a lot of cooking today, and I don't feel like cooking rice, so...
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Do you guys sell sushi rice by any chance? Could I just buy a small container of sushi rice?
Yeah, how much do you like?
What do you got? How much is that?
$2.
Okay, I'll take 2 of those. Yep. Thank you. $2 for a cooked container of sushi rice? No brainer. So I've got my rice. Each one of these containers, again, was $2. I only ended up using one of these containers. So I'm going to start by just pressing this rice down in a ring mold to make some rice patties. You want to make sure that you press the crap out of this so it's a nice, solid patty. You can also do this in other containers and then cut circles out of it, but I'm only making 3 portions for my fiance and I. This is a raw dish, and we're actually going to marinate the salmon. So we're going to start with some Cup Mayo, a nice scoop of that chili garlic sauce. It has the chicken on the front of it, and a teaspoon of sesame oil, a nice, simple 3-ingredient salmon marinade. It should look like this. Now I'm going to dice up 2 of these skinless fillets into nice, small cubes. Take your time and make sure the cubes are small. It makes it easier to eat the final product if they are small. Once they're all cut up, I'm going to toss them in my marinade. And I'm going to set the marinated raw salmon in my fridge for an hour or so, just so they can vibe together for a little bit. In a Dutch oven or a cast iron pan, I'm going to put down some fryer oil and heat it to 350 degrees. Then I'm going to fry off my rice patties that have been chilling in my fridge and hardening up. When you fry these, you want to make sure that you fry them very lightly. Take them out earlier than you think. They brown a little bit more after you take them out, and there's nothing worse than burnt fried rice, trust me. So these things should look pretty lightly fried. They will harden up on the counter. And after they're nice and golden brown when you take them out, hit them with a pinch of salt right away. This will make them way more delicious. And that's pretty much it, guys. This is a simple and awesome dish. So I'm going to put down my fried rice cakes, my marinated salmon, some slices of avocado. These were a little bit old. I apologize. You can also add some white or black sesame seeds to this or some chili peppers. But this is an awesome, simple, crunchy, delicious bite. One of my next favorite things is a salmon burger. So I'm actually going to be using the salmon belly and some of the salmon trimmings to make my burger meat. So I'm going to start by just simply running my knife through this and chopping it up into a burger meat, essentially. And to that meat, I'm going to add some mayo. You can also use Dijon mustard, a nice pinch of chives, dill, and tarragon, 1 diced shallot, and a nice spoonful of capers. But before I put them in, I'm going to just crush them with my hand. That's going to release that caper awesomeness into the salmon. Then you will need a little bit of breadcrumbs, probably about a 1/4 cup, to just bind that all together. You don't have to mix this too hard. It should stick together pretty naturally. And I'm going to use the ring mold again just to form nice circular even burgers. And I'm going to grill those. You can also fry these in a saute pan if you want. Doesn't matter. The salmon burger will slap no matter what you do with it. And I'm going to toast off some brioche buns on the grill as well. Once those are grilled off, you can take them off and assemble your burger. I like to add a nice squeeze of lemon to this and some red onions and tomatoes, but of course I forgot the tomatoes, with the other bun and some mayo. If you're feeling fancy, we can do some seared salmon, and there's 2 ways to do it. First is skin side down. So when you put the fish in the pan, you just want to give it a nice light press so the skin sticks to the pan and sears really nicely. Or you could do it flesh side down, which we'll cover in a second. If you're cooking fish skin side down the whole way in the pan, what you want to do is add a nice knob of butter and baste them pretty heavily to cook the top side of the fish. I was a little slow with doing this, so these are not cooked as much as I want them to be, but you can see they slide around in the pan. Once the skin starts to slide around the pan freely, you know that they're ready to flip. Never scrape them off the bottom of the pan. They should come unstuck by themselves. And again, ideally the top of this fish would have been cooked more before I flipped them, but it is what it is. I just cooked them the rest of the way on the flesh side. And you can see the flesh side of this fish also looks really awesome seared. So you can also sear a skinless fillet and it will do just as well for your guests. So we're going to make 2 sauces, the first one being a Beurre Blanc, a really simple Beurre Blanc. I'm going to put 2 diced shallots in a saute pan with a 1/4 cup of white wine, and I'm going to reduce that down until the white wine is just about gone. And then I'm going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter to emulsify that mixture after turning off the heat. It should all come together nicely. Some people like to put heavy cream in this as well, just to kind of bind it together and change the color. I prefer just butter. Once it's done, I'm going to add some fresh herbs, some tarragon and chives, and that is the most simple sauce for fish that you can make, and it's actually quite good. I'm going to put down my seared salmon and finish it with my Beurre Blanc, and you can serve Beurre Blancs with any other fish. It is a very reliable fish sauce. The next one, we're going to make a cucumber dill vinaigrette. So I'm going to start with a seeded and peeled cucumber, a rough chopped shallot. This is all going to get blended up anyway. A half bunch of fresh dill, pinch of salt, some freshly ground black pepper. I ran out, so I had to use the pre-grinded stuff. A 1/4 cup of sherry vinegar and a half cup of olive oil. As it's blending, I'm going to add some more olive oil if I need it. And then I'm going to stream in 2 teaspoons of spicy brown mustard or Dijon mustard to emulsify everything together. And that's it. This is another delicious sauce. You can eat this on all fish. You can also eat this on salads and stuff. It's a great vinaigrette to have in your arsenal. So I'm going to serve this one on my flesh seared salmon, and that's it. In our last very easy way to cook salmon is in the oven. This is a very slept on way to cook salmon. It makes a very juicy and delicious end product. So I'm going to start with any vegetables in my fridge that have a 20-minute cook time. So in this case, I have some turnips and roasted red peppers. And I'm going to add some artichokes. You guys know I love those. You can also do this with broccoli, asparagus, anything. I'm going to put my salmon fillets on top and season that all with salt and pepper. Put 2 slices of lemon on, and then I'm going to wrap it up and bake it in the oven at 375 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes or until the fat starts to come out of the tissues. So this little white stuff that's coming out, that's the fat. That'll tell you that it's done. This is probably the easiest way to cook salmon, but don't sleep on it. It's really soft and juicy and really, really good. And that's it, guys. The list honestly goes on. You could use salmon for way more stuff. These are just my top 5 ways to eat salmon. They all hit just as hard. Give them a try. Thanks for watching.